Yo, yo. What's good, everybody? Be live in just a moment. Gonna post a few things, and I'll be with you in just a minute. How's everybody doing tonight? Doing well, I do hope. On this beautiful Sunday evening. Check in with the chat. Hey, Zero Koku says GM Rap. What's good, my dude? How you doing? Okay. Let's turn the music down a little bit so it's not distracting. What is good, everybody? It's your boy, Rapture. For another weekly close, have a sip of my wine. Been having some wine today. Just finished a nice steak dinner with my family. Switch the screen over. There we go. Hey, the BTC weekly chart. What do we have here? You know what I do notice? Front and center. That level we marked out. I think we did that on Monday, whenever the last live session was. I marked out that level and I said, I wonder if we go and we take that out. Well, we ended up SFPing the weekly there and even closed back inside the other important weekly level. Now we're trading above that one right now, but that, you know, this could just be the wick of this weekly candle forming here before lower. The only thing I do have to say is, there is a elevated headline risk overall in the market right now. I don't love and don't usually trade news or headlines, but I do notice that, you know, I can't disregard that. But you know, we're going to dive into all this. But there's the BTC weekly chart. Let's just pop this open for a quick second and do all of the formalities. Welcome to Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions number 25, the weekly close show. We're going to take a look at our high time frame levels and discuss a little bit of strategy for the week ahead across BTC ETH and SOL. We'll pull open the weekly macro dashboard and see what that's saying. Since we haven't looked at it in a few weeks, we'll take a look to see what's happening there. We'll also take a look and see if there's been any interesting high time frame SFPs on alts using my Swing Screener Pro Screener Suite to locate any high time frame weekly SFPs. How's it been going in alt land? I have not looked really at alts much at all outside of BTC ETH and SOL. As you guys know, I've talked about this for a little while now. I've been very engrossed in a project that I'm working on. I know I keep talking about it, and you know what? Don't talk about it, just be about it. You just shut up and show it already. But it's been that involved, and it's not quite done yet. But it's been commanding. I was just talking to some buddies about this. It's been taking up 24/7 of my time. It's just that involved, and it's got that many moving parts. But I am really enjoying it. Like, I wouldn't be dedicating that much time and effort towards it if I didn't enjoy what I was doing, and it's been a blast. It's had me doing all kinds of fun shit that I've never done before. I never really thought that I'd do. And I'll be sharing that soon. I know. Stop mentioning it if you're not sharing it with us already. You're right. You're right. But I do apologize for my slightly diminished presence. Slightly. Rap, you've been MIA most of the time, bruh. I know, lads. I know. But we still managed to get in our high time frame levels show so you guys can have your levels mapped out. So that when and if price gets to those levels, you can be prepared to respond if you get the price action you're looking for. Zero Koku asks, is it a non-trading IRL project? Well, it's related to trading in so much as my main business is trading. And I'm trying to expand that and trying to expand the a few things. Is it an IRL project? It's only IRL in the fact that it's my real life and it's taking up that much of my IRL time. But it's related to my trading business, both for my personal trading, but also for the educational front. I want to be increasing my educational output. I want to, I don't know if you're aware, but I've ran some private one-on-one trainings as well as small group boot camps. I've ran a few of those, and I want to expand that because it's been, it turns out that I'm good at teaching people things. And I enjoy doing it. And it's also a good way to stay sharp and to refine my own skills while also helping others improve where they are on their trading journey. So I've actually put together an entire database of my process that I'm going to be working from, but also just to be able to put out more content in a more frequent cadence so that it has all of my content stored and all of like my strategy and transcripts for my live streams and all this stuff so that I can be putting out high value, high impact content at a more frequent cadence without it having to be like people sitting through 2 hours of a live stream. Like, I know my live streams can get long-winded. It's funny because I don't really think of myself or consider myself as highly chatty or overly talkative, but when I get on the mic for these live streams, I just love rapping with y'all. Rap loves to rap. Who would have thought? Yeah, I just end up like yapping, and then before you know it, it's like 2 hours, and I get it. Like, who has 2 hours to sit through? I know when I was learning, I loved those 2 hour streams. I actually really looked forward to the lengthy streams, but we're talking going back like 5 years ago now. 4, 5, 6 years ago now. And the landscape has changed, right? Like no one really sits down for 2 hours of anything anymore. It's just the reality of the modern content landscape, right? We all have shorter attention spans. Sorry, it sounded like the music glitched for a second. I don't know if you heard that on your end, but that tripped me out for a second. But I want to make things more impactful and higher clip, meaning higher frequency, and more focused so that it's very, so that the pieces are very specific so that you can ingest a lot more as you need it rather than having to sit through a long 2 hour live session. Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to rolling it out as well. It's been a lot of fun though, because, and I know that's just like broad strokes about what I've been talking about, but it's even involved like creating like a stable of customized visual assets and stuff like that I can use and have just ready to go for when I'm putting out posts. and directing it like a not an art director, but like a director, and having things turn out the way that I want and need. But all of that started as the journey of getting really interested in AI and how to utilize AI, and that turned into me building my own custom stack. Like the main part of the project, like the thing that took the longest was actually going from 0 to 100 on all of that, and figuring out how to build my own stack to where now I have like a completely customized, built from the ground up, my own AI stack. And it's not about AI creating content for me, because that's not what I'm interested in. It's like I'm the gatekeeper on all of it. I am very high touch in regards to that, which is why it's been taking so much time. Like I could have just been like, here's something out of the box and let it just go and pump out content for me and do all that on automation, on auto fire, rapid fire, and it would just output for me. But that's not what I'm interested in. I'm like, this is all about it being me, enhanced by these things. And so long story short, building the tech stack from ground up is what was the most difficult and longest part. And now it's just sort of getting into the fun stuff where I'm like a lot closer to the output part. Are you part of the We the Vote project? I'm not sure what that is. Pre-sale crypto. Not sure what the We the Vote project is. But anyways, I digress. That was a long-winded diversion. Let's dive into it. So here we go. We got the BTC weekly chart. Apologies, guys. We're 15 minutes in and I haven't even looked at a chart yet. Jesus, Rap. This is what we're trying to avoid. See? C0 Koku, that's what I'm talking about. I go down these long-winded moments, and that's what I want to be able to output stuff in a shorter, more impactful, less time-consuming manner. So that people don't have to sit through there with me ranting, unless they want to, because I'll still do these long-form live sessions. But sometimes you just got to get the information you need and get on with your day. So that's what I want to be able to do. And to help grow my brand, like I feel like I've been stagnant. And I know output has a big deal to do with that. And my output has definitely dropped off while I've been building this stuff. But it's pain now. It's a little bit of pain now for a lot of improved workflow coming up really soon. Okay, so the BTC weekly chart. Let me change this song because it's now been rocking for too long. Okay, there we go. So the BTC weekly chart, like I said, we took out that level we outlined, that weekly level we outlined, and it SFP'd. It's a weekly SFP. You know, weekly SFPs often lead to good follow through, you know, and I'm just sort of circling and highlighting where some weekly SFPs took place. I'm not saying we're in for this kind of move from here, but you know, weekly SFPs don't usually disappoint both ways, right? We haven't had a bullish weekly SFP in a while. This was the last one, and it did actually give a bounce up, but then led to carnage. So weekly, nothing else to update here. Let's take a look at our monthly. We're still getting capped at that monthly market structure break level, right? Like we're still in a broken structure on the monthly, bearish downtrend. First time in the BTC Binance pair, USDTP pair history that we've had a monthly lower low like that. You know, so it's still significant. The chart is still broken. And I was zooming out earlier. Hey, what's up, Munar? I was zooming out earlier before the show started. And I'm just taking a look at this. And like, not that this means anything, but I was just kind of asking myself, where are, like, if we're like looking at this as a fractal, which is very clearly Almost played out to a T. Are we here? Or are we here? Right? Like, yeah, we did, oh, wrong tool. Yeah, we did one here. What are we doing right here, right? Is this something like this? We're still going to give down more downside. Are we even still like up in here? And this was more like this. I don't know. Like, and obviously, it, you know, nothing plays out the same, and it's fractals are just fractals. Oops. But I caught myself saying to myself, I caught myself asking myself. Now, the other thing that's interesting, though, is like, look at what the fuck SPX did. Took out that weekly level that we outlined a little while back, made the daily bullish flip, retested, and boom. And now it's back to all-time highs and beyond. So that's pretty wild about SPX. You know, equities are ripping. Meanwhile, crypto still looks kind of meh. So weekly SFP, let's go down to daily. Let's take a look. Let's update some of our levels. So this is very much just looking like a deviation, right? Deviated above the level, closed back below, retested, boom. But now we're into another level here. I actually took a scalp long with an invalidation just below here, but it's a very short-term trade because I'm looking to short more. Now what we can do, we can move this up to here. Let's extend some of these out now. Is this going to be relevant? I mean, that may become relevant in the future, but I'm almost more interested in what the hell is going on here. And we'll bring this one up. Okay, so there's your daily levels of interest on BTC. H12, we are into an H12 bullish breaker. Let me just get rid of this and show you what I'm talking about. I think we can probably get rid of that. Let's just clean that up. So why was that I just outlined a bullish H12 breaker? Well, here you had an H12 SFP right here. And what is a breaker? Well, it's the swing level that creates the wick of the SFP. In this case, we have it on the time frame of the SFP. It was an H12 SFP. We have an H12 bullish breaker when you've closed above there. And we're into that breaker. And we came into a level. Now, the short-term trade that I took was right here. We SFP'd that high time frame level within the bullish breaker, closed above, retested. My inval is down here, but I have a soft inval at 74K. So if we start trading back below here, I may just cut, but for now I'm long. But ultimately, is an H12 SFP, H12 bullish breaker higher signal than a weekly SFP? That, I don't know that I would say it is. Now, the only thing that's saving it right now is that it did not lose this daily level, so we don't have a bearish breaker on daily or H12, but we do have on H4 a confirmed bearish breaker right here. And look at where it's rejecting off of after the retest, right? So you have two conflicting things going on here right now. We have, well, the first setup, we had the H12 SFP with a market structure break, H12 bullish breaker, retesting the bullish breaker, and stopped dead on a high time frame level of interest with a low time frame M15 market structure break and confirmed breaker. I know that's a lot of terms to be thrown at you right there. Excuse me. And if you haven't been with me long enough, a lot of these terms may be going over your head. And that's precisely why I'm working on this content pipeline, so I can put out shorter form stuff so that all these terms are easier for you guys to grasp. And I try to go slow on them and break them down as much as I can, but then that's how we end up with the two-hour live sessions, right? It's like, it's a double-edged sword, right? So that was the H12 bullish setup that I see. The bearish conflicting signal is weekly SFP, now with a confirmed H4 bearish breaker, and not that far off from confirming an H12 bearish breaker. In this scenario, until this H12 confirms as a close below here, until it loses this bullish breaker with a close below here, I think I lean a little bit bull biased still, unless you lose this box, which is why I took the scalp. Now, would I take the scalp here? No, I wouldn't. I took the, like, I got the scalp right after it happened, and that's where I would hold it from. I wouldn't want to be sort of trading in here where it's literally, oh, I hate that word, literally, but you're trading in between a bullish and a bearish zone. So it's a coin flip from there. Now, you may be sitting there saying, how is there a bullish and a bearish breaker there, both there? And what even is the breaker? Well, you know, if you've been with me long enough, you'll know why this is a breaker, right? Let me just move that out of the way. This is the swing high that created that H12 SFP. It's the swing high that created the wick of the H12 SFP. When you closed above there, right there, you confirmed a bullish H12 breaker, right? Which is this. Right? Closed above that level, that's a market structure break. Munar, in this case, you're considering both the SFP and the breaker in the same time frame, H12, because I remember you saying once that you prefer that the breaker is in a lower time frame. I should clarify that. I like to enter on a lower time frame breaker, especially given the way the market trades, that it is like rallies or down or dumps aren't overly sustained. We've been so range bound that you want to get in on the trade as early as possible. But the higher the time frame the breaker, it's usually a higher signal, right? The higher the time frame, the higher the signal. And an H12 bullish breaker is high time frame signal. But what we can say, though, is off of this SFP here, right? Like, given that I like to trade intraday, right? The confirmed M15 breaker was here, right? And that was the move up. Right? Closed above, retest, boom. So when I'm trading intraday, yes, I like to be getting in on the low time frame breaker, but you can't disregard when you get a confirmed high time frame breaker like we have here, right? Like this is an H12 bullish breaker. There's a lot of people here that are long, presumably still long because their invalidation is probably down here, that have an interest in seeing this hold, which is why you're going to get a reaction here, right? Like that's how they work. You either have people that shorted this that were wrong, who are off sides, who are now looking to enter or looking to exit at break even. How do you exit a short? Well, you long, right? Just like you have the patient traders who saw this setup form and are now like, okay, now I have a reason to get long here. So that's what fuels the initial move up. It's just whether this is a stronger signal than the weekly SFP. And as of right now, H4 bearish breaker, which you can see we're already starting to reject from. what I would say though, what would give me two things would give me more confidence in the short right now. It would be either losing this bottom of this H12 breaker and confirming an H12 bearish breaker off the weekly SFP, because that to me is a good pairing. That to me is a good time frame pairing, is weekly H12. But H4 is also valid. But what would get me more bearish about this is if you confirm the H12 bearish breaker off the weekly SFP with the close below, or we do some price action up into here and you get an H4 SFP or sweep off one of these levels. Those would be the two things that would give me more confidence in the short setup right now. Whereas right now, the long has a little bit more going for it in the shorter term. Also, after a move like that, are you looking to short from here? No, you're looking to catch the move that comes to here, and then you can short that. Taking a look here. Okay, so our H12 levels are done, our daily levels are done. Let's go down to H4. Let's see what's going on here. Now, I know it's confusing because we've got these two boxes here, but we got to be realistic about what is presenting. There is a bull case and there is a short case. A long case and a short case are both sitting right here. You can't disregard that you got an H4 sweep. It wasn't a true SFP though, right? Did it close below? Well, it can't even be a true SFP because it's not a swing low. It's a level that got swept. Levels that I would look for a potential short to set up and give me more confidence if we don't get the H12 lower low market structure break first would be price action off of one of these levels that looks like a SFP or sweep on H4, but lower time frame would be like the M15 breaker off of that. Another quick question. If you enter a trade long, for example, with stop below the bullish breaker and price wicks through the bottom of the breaker, technically invalidating it, do you close based off of that, or you wait for your stop to hit limit or otherwise? I mean, once the breaker gets invalidated, you kind of just have a different setup, right? But I rarely let myself get stopped out on a high time frame breaker anymore. I have my hearts, like you're saying, if it comes down to here and it wicks through this level. If it wicks through this level and you get another SFP, that becomes another setup, right? And then you'd have another potential breaker to look for. But I would be out long before that. Like on this, like I talked about this setup, this long right now. I'm in off of here with the hard invalidation down here, but I'd watch to see what starts happening around here at 74K to decide if I want to hold or not. My last two trades this happened where the breaker was invalidated, but my stop was wider and I just let it ride and got stopped. Yeah, no, it was an M5 breaker, but gotcha. Yeah, so the bottom of the break, like when I outline a breaker, that's a hard stop. But my soft invalidation, which I'll ride manually, a manual stop, is watching price action before it gets there. If price is coming all the way down here, like say we're like coming down below 74K, I'd rather cut and wait for another low time frame setup to get back on board for the long rather than watching it come and stop me out and then be annoyed that I didn't take myself out. And I definitely would not let it trade below this and hold, because like you just pointed out, the last two trades that happened, and then you had a wider stop than the breaker, and then it eventually took you out anyways, right? That's just, I mean, some of that comes down to just playing it by feel, right? Like if you find that you're often getting whipped out and then the move happens in the favor of how your analysis predicted, or not predicted, but how what your thesis was on the trade, if you're finding that you often get wicked out and then the move happens in your favor and you see it move off without you, then you have to reevaluate your stop placement. But in this particular strategy that I know that you're a student of, this is your hard stop. And whatever your breaker is, right? Like, provided that the breaker is the valid breaker, right? But I rarely let price come all the way down here and then stop me out these days. I'm watching what happens around here, especially if it's slow, grindy, right? Because often moves like this just end up grinding all the way out and then taking you out. If it's a fast move down and there's a quick recovery, you know, like say it's a faster move down and you get like an M5 breaker set up within that region, you know, then you may hold it. But if it's slow and choppy down through there, yeah, this was the reason I widened stops. I was getting stopped out on correct ideas, so I widened stops and worked well. But then this happened twice in a row. We'll start manually closing if it wicks through the breaker. That may just need a little bit of reevaluation of which levels you're setting your breaker off of, right? I mean, I know I haven't been as active sharing my trades, and I haven't traded. I honestly haven't traded as much. Nowhere near what my normal trade levels are for the last month because I've been so preoccupied. But anytime I've had a solid M15 breaker off of one of the high time frame levels, very few of them have failed. So it may just take a little bit of refining of which levels you're and I know you're nice with the levels. You've got your levels down packed, but sometimes it's just a little bit of a recalibration against the levels. And which asset are you trading? Mostly BTC, or are you trading other assets? Because if it's an alt, then it can be a different story. Anyways, I'm definitely getting sidetracked today. I guess because I haven't not doing these as frequently. So I get sidetracked and I like end up chit chatting. Anyways, Moon, you have my you can DM me. Just DM me. Holler at me in the chat. We can go through them. Like just share the setups that are like the ones that didn't work out, so I can take a look and see if there's something that I would have done differently. You know how to reach me. Okay, so H4 levels. Yeah, I mean, not much else to update here on H4. I'm going to extend these across because we know how long this is going to take. I'm almost thinking that I get rid of that one. Because if it takes out that, it's definitely taking out that. Yeah, I think you get rid of that. Okay. One thing I also noticed too, this was a lot of uncontested levels on the way up here. These rarely remain uncontested very long, right? Like we had something like that here and then it wiped all that out. Now we've been doing that for even longer. And we put in a weekly SFP and we have an H4 bearish breaker. Like I said, I'm still scalp long here, but I'm watching for what's going to happen up and through here because I don't know how high of a move this has in it. It's also Sunday. Who knows what the fuck is going to, like, I honestly haven't been following the news at all. Call me ignorant about it, but I just don't have patience for it. I found when I was following the news all the time, it just made me angry. I'm trying to just not let that, not trying to not be about that life. I'm just trying to be chill and enjoy, and be a happy dad and raise my kids right and not focus on that shit. And sometimes ignorance is bliss because, I don't know, it doesn't affect my day to day. And I apologize to anyone that's in the war or experiencing the war or affected by it in any way on both sides, on either side, I should say. But it just doesn't affect me. So I try not to focus too much on the headlines. Plus the headlines are fucking bullshit. I don't want to read what the fuck Trump is talking. I'm not political. There was a time in my life where I was political. You know what I'm political about? Doing right for my fucking family. That's all the fuck I care about. Okay, so that's BTC. Those are levels. Those are H4, H12 daily, weekly, and monthly levels. It's conflicting here, which I don't love. I don't love when I have two conflicting signals. I like one to give me the lead. And right now, this is a toss-up setup between the long. Like I said, I'm in the long, so I fucking hope it goes up further. But looking at this, knowing that we have the weekly SFP, right? This is the weekly level here that got SFP'd. You can see we're even cleanly rejected off of and sold off earlier today. That is the weekly SFP level. You have an H4 bearish breaker confirmed. So does this just end up putting a little, does this just end up putting a little price action that does something like this? Right? I don't know. I don't know. That's, to me, that's likely what happens. Let's take a look at ETH. It's the same thing with a high time frame look. Still getting capped by that monthly level, right? Like, as much as the last little while has felt slightly bullish on assets, right? I mean, equity is 100%, but like, it's funny when you zoom out to monthly, it doesn't look like that much of a move on SPX. But like, as much as it's felt like mildly bullish conditions for BTC for the last couple of weeks. How many weeks now? 1, 2, 3. For the last 3 weeks or so. When you really zoom out to monthly, like, we're just into an underside retest, right? Same thing on ETH, right? Like, it felt like things moved quite a bit, but look at how it's didn't really do much. So let's see. ETH weekly, also weekly SFP. Also happened to take out the, okay, so this is interesting on ETH. We finally took out the high of that inside week. Let's just take a look. Did BTC take it out as well? No, BTC came short of taking out the high of that inside week. But ETH 100% took out that high of that inside week. Also SFP'd this level here in the process, right here. You can see that. Also into a monthly level, right? Like, there's a lot going on right there. Let's go down to daily. Was that an SFP the other day? No, it was a higher high, but look at that. Okay. So, you know how I was talking about wanting to be more bearish on BTC? I'd want that higher time frame bearish breaker. Can you guys see it? Can you spot it? Do you see what I see here on ETH? This is the weekly SFP. This is also the weekly range quarter. Sorry, the inside week high on weekly. Do you guys see what I see? Does anyone in the chat there see what I see here? Well, if you know me and you know what I like to look for, here is your bearish daily breaker off of the weekly SFP. Turn that over. This is the swing low that created the wick of the weekly SFP. Closed below, market structure break, confirmed bearish daily breaker off of a weekly SFP. That is a fucking high signal setup. Doesn't mean it can't trade up into here before finding a lower high and dump city, but that is not a pretty setup. You know how I talked about on BTC, it only had an H4 bearish breaker confirmed. Well, here on ETH, you have a daily bearish breaker confirmed off of the weekly SFP. And it took out the weekly inside week high finally. Like, for people may have been wondering, why do I have those lines marked out for so long for the inside week? And I keep talking about it. Well, we finally took it out, and look at what you got off of that. From that inside week, taking out the high, you did a full-on market structure break on daily. let's outline some of our other daily levels so that we know, if we get them, if and or when we get to them, we might have something to work off of. And let's not forget, we're still very much in bearish market structure on daily, swing high to swing low. So anywhere in this region is a potential opportunity for a short. I know I trade mostly intraday and much shorter time frame, and we've had many of trades both ways. But overall, you're still bearish until it does a full-on market structure break. All this intraday stuff, if you're a higher time frame, longer term swing trader, this is just a lot of noise. Like I said though, daily bearish breaker confirmed off of the weekly SFP on ETH. That is significant. This is your market structure break level right here. Let's go on H12 and see what we have. Okay, hold on one second. Let's make this current interval and below. Let's go down to H12. You also have a confirmed H12, but that doesn't matter because we've already confirmed the daily. Now we have a few more levels we can extend out to look for sweeps and or SFPs inside of this breaker. Go to H4, let's see what else we have. We have some more levels here we can outline. Okay, well, there's your high time frame levels on ETH. There's literally zero reason to think that this is a long here, other than, actually, that's not true because you have, why did that level not show? Oh no, that is where we are right now. And we are just below it. So your counter trend, this is very counter trend, long for ETH right now is this. When it closed above there, but I bet you if on hourly, you go to hourly, yeah. The long is a lot less compelling on ETH than the one that I took on BTC. Even though, like I said, there's an M15 bullish breaker right here off of this monthly level, this is less compelling to me. If you're feeling like for some reason you want a long ETH, this is where you're doing it from. Like right now, you can take the trade right now, stop below there with a soft invalidation if you start trading back below here. Ideally, you wait for some sort of SFP on M15 or M5 within here, within this breaker, but the M15 bullish breaker is confirmed and you're at a monthly level. So there's reason to think that people will step in here, but I'm much less bullish on an intraday trade on ETH here than I am on the BTC one. But there's your ETH levels. Let's keep it moving along. Let's take a look at Solana. Let's do the same thing. Let's go monthly. Take a look at what we've got. I mean, really does not look too pretty. This just, this gives me that vibes that like it's chopping here before it just legs down. Like even here, it had a solid green month before it nuked. Here, it just has nothing. It's got nothing going for it. Noticeable weakness against BTC and ETH. Like ETH took out that inside week high. Look at how far away from that is. BTC came just shy of its inside week high. Solana is nowhere to be found. If anything, we have a new inside week here that we've just been chopping around in. I'm not really interested in marking out another inside week there just because it's going to be too many lines, and it's still a bearish weekly structure. Daily, we've still been into this daily bearish breaker that we've had outlined now for a little while, right? Let's extend that across so we can see a little bit clearer. What weekly level is that? That was that one up there. Just going to extend out some of our levels on daily for SOL here. Is this one still relevant? I don't know, maybe. But like I said, bearish daily breaker, and you can see how the daily bearish breaker is pretty high time frame signal, especially after you've had a weekly SFP. Go on to H12. Let's clean some of this up. So we've had this H12 bullish breaker, which we outlined last session as well, which has acted as support, which has been every long has come from here, right? SFP'd into it, swept the breaker, right? Like retesting it now. Where did it dead stop? Right on that H12 bullish breaker. I mean, for range trading, this is a dream because you've just been bouncing between a bearish breaker and a bullish breaker and giving you SFPs as the entries. SFPs and sweeps have been the entries. Do I think this continues to hold, this bullish breaker? I don't know. It's a range until proven otherwise, right? I don't have anything else levels-wise to update here on H4. These are your levels on H4 for ETH, for Solana, I mean. All right, just play. I talk about this a lot in the past, right? Like, do you need to have a bullish bias? Do you need to have a bearish bias? It does help. But at the end of the day, if you hit a level, if price hits one of your levels and you get the price action into it that suggests you have a trade, take the goddamn fucking trade. Right? And don't stress yourself so much about having to be bullish or having to be bearish. I found that, to me, in years past, was the thing that really tripped me up the most and really gave me the most anxiety. Not necessarily anxiety, but really gave me the most difficulty to navigate, because I'd have a bias and I just wouldn't, or I would have to, I wouldn't take a trade unless it aligned with that bias. Whereas the method and the strategy that I use and teach now, it really eliminates that and just tells you, okay, know how to mark out high time frame levels. If you know how to do that, the setup part is really just if this, then that. Well, that's kind of interesting. We hit the M15 breaker that we outlined last time. That was the trade. Was the trade again. Well, now it's been here again. But what I can say, I'm going to get rid of this now. The long that I can see right now, you took out a high time frame level. Well, here is your market structure shift. Right? It's the swing point after the sweep or SFP, because to get a market structure break, it's so far away that you've missed the majority of that trade. Well, you just go for the swing, and rather than the swing high that creates the wick for a bullish breaker, market structure break style. For a market structure shift, you take the next swing high that forms after the wick of the SFP on the lower time frame, which would be this. This was the SFP or sweep level here. There's the wick. This was the very first swing high after, closed above. There's your confirmed market structure shift style breaker. So this is the long here on Solana. And like I just said, you've been ping-ponging between an H12 bullish breaker and a daily bearish breaker. This is getting a bit nutty, but I do also see this here. There's this bearish daily breaker overlapping the other bearish daily breaker. We're inceptioning the daily bearish breakers. That's a rare one, when you can inception a daily bearish breaker on top of another daily bearish breaker, but it is right there. And just for that alone, I give a little bit more weight for the short. Well, not for that alone. We looked at the structure of Solana compared to BTC and ETH, and it's a shitty looking chart. But even if I get rid of this, because it overlaps the main bearish breaker daily, you're still looking for these levels up here, regardless of whether you outlined that one or not. But for now, there's your long. There's your long on Solana. Right, like this was the long on ETH, on BTC. This is the long on ETH. This is your long on Solana. All it really boils down to, though, folks, is just mark out your goddamn high time frame levels and then trade them. It's not you have to trade those levels. It's if and or when price gets to it, does it give you the price action that aligns with the reversal from that level? That's, you can really simplify it down to just that. You're trading your consistency and profitability goes right up, because you're not guessing. It eliminates a lot of the guesswork. You're waiting for something to happen. You have a framework, you have a trade that you're waiting for, you have a setup that you're looking for, and then it's just about having patience for price to arrive at a level. But like, you could have had this level marked out on H4 right here, and then price got to it and it closed below, so there's no trade. Like, was there even an M15, right? Like, you could say, well, Rap, I had that level up marked out. How would I know in the moment that that was not, that particular level was not a trade? Well, because when it came through it, this one's a little bit difficult because it actually gives you the same breaker, right? It's this level here. But as price sliced through it, before that price action after occurred, you don't just trade when it hits a level, right? Like, okay, the point that I was trying to make was, you have your high time frame levels. You're not just setting limit orders off those levels. That's not how my strategy works, and it's not what I would recommend doing. You're not marking out a level and then just putting a limit order. You mark your level, and you have a way to be alerted to it. And then, or you're monitoring it live, and then you're watching for what price does at that level. And at that higher level, it just sliced through. So that wasn't the level. Then it came down into another level, and then it started to give you some price action that you can work with, which is how you ended up now with this bullish market structure shift confirmed breaker. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. It was a bit ranty there. Where are we at? Oh, we're almost at an hour. Okay. I mean, I don't even know what to say about SPX. This thing is just crazy. It's crazy, man. Yeah, like I don't know what to say. This is just nuts. It's funny, we nailed that break and retest on weekly, and this was the lower level that I said maybe it takes at this level, and there it did. What can I see here? I mean, you have some levels to work with, right, on H12, but like this is just insane price action. When you look at that, you almost say to yourself, why the fuck am I trading crypto? When the SPX is doing something like that over the same time period that BTC is just kind of not really showing up. Anyways, I don't want to waste the time on SPX. What I do want to do is take a look at the weekly macro dashboard. It has been a minute. It has been a while since I've updated the weekly macro dashboard. There she is. What do we have? We have BTCD, total ES divided by BTC, USDT.D, USDT dominance, ETH BTC, SOL BTC, and SOL ETH. Well, this really just explains the Solana chart, right? I haven't looked at alts much at all, like I mentioned at the top of the show, and I can take a look at this and tell you that the alts are not in a good place. I can take a look at this and tell you that alts are not in a good place. And how hilarious is that? When we got this bearish weekly breaker on total ES BTC, right? What is that? It's the total crypto market cap excluding stablecoins divided by BTC, which for me is the best barometer for altcoin health and direction. When we got that confirmed bearish weekly breaker and we came up and retested into here, I said you probably want to just exit all alts if it retests up into here, because I was mirroring what took place here and not expecting this, but expecting sell-off. Well, look what happened. And look, we even lost below. I don't have to look at a single altcoin to know that alts, for the most part, are going to be looking awful right now. And nothing here is compelling me to say, look at alts. BTCD looking like this is nice though, right? You put in, you closed above that. Now, did it sweep there? No. So what you're going to want to monitor on BTCD is what takes place when it gets up into here and into here. The BTCD looks healthy. It's not into clear resistance yet. It still has free room to ride. Oops. Let's take a look at USDTD. Okay, well, SFP this level here. SFP that level there. After USDT dominance had been dropping, meaning capital had been flowing back into the market, is USDT going to reverse and start taking back over market dominance for a little while after this weekly SFP, given the fact that the BTC chart actual put in a weekly SFP, a bearish weekly SFP, and a confirmed H4 bearish breaker, and ETH confirmed the daily bearish breaker off the weekly SFP. What I'm curious about here, that's funny. Look at that. When did we even do this? Almost a month ago. That's interesting. So what I see right now, let's get rid of that. You put in that weekly SFP. You've also put in an H12 bullish breaker on USDT. Now, you're not trading the USDT dominance chart, right? You're not trading the dominance. Oh, you also have a daily. Look at that. Let's outline that instead. What am I saying here? What am I saying? You had a weekly bullish SFP on USDT dominance, meaning is capital flowing in or out of stablecoins, in and out of USDT? Well, when it's retreating, it means capital is flowing out of stablecoins. And as we saw, BTC was going up for a few weeks. So into the market, mostly into BTC, as the total ES chart showed us, alts likely look like ass. This is now a weekly bullish SFP, daily bullish breaker. I could see USDT dominance trending back up. It's at 7.5% right now. Does it go back to 8%? Does it go back to 8.5%? I don't know, but I could see this going up. BTCD still looks good though. BTC dominance still looks good. So what does that mean? Does that just mean that everyone is exiting alts and this is gonna go up? But this does look like it wants to likely bounce to me. Let's take a look at ETH BTC. Okay, so you put in an underside retest, SFP'd, bearish weekly SFP'd on ETH BTC into an underside retest. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Get rid of that. There we go. Weekly bearish SFP into an underside retest into supply on ETH BTC, and the ETH chart having a daily bearish breaker off the weekly SFP. This gives a strong case for wanting to short ETH right now. SOL BTC, okay. SOL BTC finally came into a level that we had marked out. So maybe, but the Solana chart looks like shit. We're not gonna deny that. The Solana chart looks like a shit, but I put in a weekly bullish SFP there. Let's see. Yeah, but Well, you do have this bullish daily breaker. I know. Getting this granular on macro charts, it's not something you do ordinarily, but we're just taking a look to see what we can see. Since we haven't taken a look at these macro charts in a few weeks or a while. It's been over a month since I've looked at them, to be honest with you. I've just been preoccupied. This is a weekly bullish SFP. This is a bullish daily breaker on Solana. It's kind of interesting. On SOL BTC. SOL ETH looks horrible, but the ETH chart looks like it wants to do a hard reversal. So that's a tough one. Did it take out that level? It did. Did it SFP that level? Oh, that's kind of interesting. Okay. So we do have that there. Yeah, maybe SOL ETH is going to reverse as well. And SOL BTC looks like it wants to reverse. Some interesting things I'm seeing there on the SOL macro charts. ETH definitely looks like it wants to nuke. BTC, I'm not quite sure. Alts, I don't know. The way the market's been and the way altcoins have been trading the last year, not year, but half a year. When was October, right? October, November. Half a year, 7 months ago, the way that alts have been trading over that period. This does say to me, USDT dominance wants to go up. This says to me ETH wants to roll over, at least against BTC. This says to me Solana wants to go up against BTC and ETH. And this, alts, not interested in that. But I haven't looked at alt charts. That being said, within alts looking like shit overall, there is always going to be the small handful of alts that outperform the market. And if you play the alt game, it's just about recognizing which those are and trading with the herd, because everyone's going to pile into the same asset, right? Asset go up, right? The market's reflexive. Asset go up, everyone notice, especially when market sort of limp, everyone piles in. Eventually, that hits a hard reversal point and wrecks a lot of people. So there's opportunity to trade it both ways, but you just still trade the levels, right? Okay. Well, that's the macro chart. I don't know. This, to me, is saying maybe trade Solana, is what this is saying. So why don't we just jump back here really quickly, and we'll just take one more look at SOL here. If the chart is telling me to trade Solana, right? This is your bullish setup right here for Solana right now. Doesn't mean that this is the one that has to hold. Like, we have other levels we could get longs off of. Likewise, there's shorts to be had. But if you want to trade with the one that looks like it probably has the most opportunity, it would be Solana. So this is the setup as it is. Doesn't mean this holds. If it loses that and comes down further, you just look for the breaker again off of another level. Okay, let's hop onto my high time frame screener, Swing Screener Pro, to look and see if we can find any high time frame SFPs. And then we will move and wrap up. Select the high time frame Swing Screener Pro, put it on the 1 minute. This should show. They added colors. That is new. How did it add color to my script? That's interesting. But look at that. We talked about BTC putting in a weekly SFP, ETH putting in a weekly SFP. There they are right now. Clear as day. It's interesting they've color coded this now. How did they touch my script? TradingView must have rolled out some new features. It's kind of cute to look at, although it's a bit rainbowy for my tastes. Let's take a look. What does Breakout have on weekly SFPs? Let's see. What put in? Oh, there's a bunch of assets that put in weekly SFPs. Interesting. There's a bunch of assets that put in weekly SFPs. Too many to look at. So what do we do, lads? Do above 50 mil, 24-hour vol. A lot less. DOT. Ugh. Filecoin Hype. Hype put in a weekly SFP. That's interesting. We'll take a look at that. I don't have any interest in looking at DOT. We already looked at the ETH weekly SFP. We already had the daily bearish breaker. We already know about all that. These rainbow colors are tripping me out. I don't think I like it, to be honest. But it is what it is. We'll take a look at Hype to see what the weekly SFP was. Let's take a look. Filecoin. Am I interested in Filecoin? Not really. Let's take a look at Hyperliquid. Same thing. Let's see what put in weekly SFPs. Very similar list. ENA. Interesting. And Move. Yeah, I mean, there's some weekly SFPs. I do want to start wrapping this up, though. We're at an hour and a quarter. Similar list. Coin put in a weekly SFP. Interesting. Okay, maybe we'll take a look at Filecoin since it keeps popping up. I don't really want to look at DOT. All right, let's do it. Okay, we'll pop back over here. We'll go to my high time frame swing panel. When did I outline this, lads? A few weeks back, right? Yeah, no worries, Munar. I appreciate you being here. Go do what you got to do. When did we outline this, lads? Because that weekly SFP, H12 bullish breaker. Hey. Let's take a look. Well, that's a lot of assets I have on here. I got to clean this list up. I'm not going to do it right now. But let's take a look at the ones. What does it say? Hype put in a weekly SFP. Where is it? Oh, it's a bearish weekly SFP. Right there. Okay, well, here is the unconfirmed bearish daily breaker. But what I do see is you have a market structure shift breaker right there. This doesn't look great for hype. Does not look great for hype there. But as so long as it holds this level here, it's still bullish market structure on daily. Why is that? Well, because here. So, yeah, it held it all the way to here. I don't like this price action though. What else was on this list? ENA popped up a few times. And we want, yeah, weekly. Here we go. Okay. Yeah. Don't love that. Don't love that. I'd look for shorts in there on ENA. What was the other one? Filecoin. Ugh. Gnarly looking chart. That would have been a good long. Took out the inside week low. And as you can see, it was. This is why those inside week plays, you mark out range quarter them, often give good trades. Now, what is that? This was the weekly SFP here. If that closes below on H12, there's your short. Confirm that breaker, short a retest. I don't know, when you really just zoom out on these on weekly, like why would you want to? This is a giant market cap coin too. Like who wants to touch that? This doesn't look like This is an impressive chart given what the market's done, but this I don't like. Okay, well, we're at an hour and a quarter. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anything anyone wants me to take a look at in particular? If not, I'm going to wrap it up. But you know what? I did mention that maybe I'll do a shorter session or run a quick session tomorrow mid-morning. Maybe we'll do that. Try and make the cadence of these a little bit more frequent. Get back on a more frequent schedule. So maybe we'll do that. I'll give you guys. I'll write in the chat in my Telegram channel, Rapture's trade book. I will make note of whether I'm going to go do a quick impromptu live tomorrow morning. Because if there aren't any other questions for this evening, I got to clean this list up. I got to do some housekeeping. My ass has been focused on my build project. You can see how much time it's been taking for me. I haven't even cleared off this watch list of weekly SFPs in like a month. It's time to get some housekeeping done. It's time to spend more time with the lads. Time to get the updates flowing again. Time to bump the output up. A lot of levels. I need to clean off these. I need to clean up charts. There's a lot I need to do. And only so many hours in a day. You know what? I would really benefit from a 48-hour day. A 48-hour day. But you know what? 2 kids, navigating all that. I was on dad duty all week. The kid's mother is back. So I'll have a little bit more time to be focused. Anyways, excuses are like assholes. Everyone got one. Quit the excuses. Just get your ass back into the market and be amongst your homies. Put the time in. Let's take one more look at the BTC ETH and SOL charts before we wrap up. Not much movement. We can take a look at the setups that we outlined. These setups in particular could go either way. Either this holds, or like if I'm going to bed and this hasn't really moved much, I'm going to cut before letting it ride, because I could also see a scenario where you just wake up tomorrow and it's like we're down here, right? But those are your setups. This is the BTC long. Like I said, the ETH long was not very compelling, but this is it here. And here's the Solana setup. And if there's no other questions, I'm going to wrap it up. Once again, this has been Rapture's Scalp and Swing Sessions number 25, the weekly close show. We took a look at our high time frame levels. We discussed strategy for what to do when and or if price gets to one of our high time frame levels, what we look for. We outlined the 3 longs that are in play right now, purely viewed as scalps. I will stress that for the time being. Those are scalp setups. I am currently in the BTC long, but if it starts to slowly drift back into the breaker, I will likely cut. If it starts trading like shit and gets below 74K, I will likely cut before it hits my hard stop. We looked at the weekly macro dashboard, which was telling us, do not fucking trade alts. Although it was kind of telling us Solana is the most compelling long out of the big 3, out of the majors. BTC looks strong, but USDT dominance looks like it wants to pop. And ETH BTC looks like shit. Put in a weekly SFP. Bearish one. And the ETH chart actual looks like shit. We took a look at some high time frame SFPs using my high time frame swing screener pro. And don't forget, if you're looking for an exchange, consider using BingX. Use code Rapture on sign up at bingx.com to get yourself some juicy sign up bonuses from the good folks over at BingX. Once again, this has been Rapture. This has been Scalp and Swing Sessions. And I will catch up with you lads later. Ooh, and before I forget, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you appreciate what I am doing here. Help me grow the show. Help me get more reach. It's a big part of why I've been building what I've been building, so that I can boost output and boost the quality of the output to help grow my reach and grow my channels. Don't forget to follow me at Night the Rapture on Twitter, on YouTube. Am I anywhere else? No, that's about it. And just like that, lads, I bid you all a pleasant rest of your Sunday evening. Ciao.